In a peaceful village nestled between rolling hills, there lived an elderly woman named Noor. Her life had been long and filled with both joy and sorrow. She had once been a young bride, full of dreams, and had raised children with love and care. But as time passed, Noor had seen many of her loved ones leave. Her husband passed away early in their marriage, leading her to raise their children alone. As the years went on, her children grew up, moved away, and started their own lives, leaving her with a quiet home and a heavy heart. Despite all the loss, Noor was always known for her bright smile and peaceful demeanor. People in the village admired her for her wisdom and calm presence. She never seemed troubled, even though her life had been far from easy. One day, a young woman named Mona, who had recently lost her job and was feeling lost and overwhelmed by life's challenges, came to visit Noor. Mona had heard the stories of the old woman's strength and was curious to know how she had managed to stay so positive in the face of so much hardship. With a heavy heart, Mona sat down beside Noor and said, "Grandmother Noor, I don't understand how you've stayed so happy. I feel like everything is falling apart in my life. I lost my job, and I don't know how to get back on my feet. I don't know how to find happiness anymore." Noor smiled softly, her weathered hands resting on her lap. She looked at Mona with understanding in her eyes and said, "My dear, I have been through many struggles in my life. I have faced loneliness, pain, and loss. But I learned something important along the way. Happiness is not something that happens to us. It is a choice we make, a way of looking at life. When we choose to see the beauty around us, even in the darkest times, we begin to find peace." Noor paused and gazed out at the small garden outside her home, where the flowers bloomed despite the changing seasons. She took a deep breath before continuing. "When I was young, I had many dreams and expectations for my life, but life doesn't always go the way we plan. I lost my husband when I was young, and I thought I would never smile again. Then my children grew up and left, and I felt alone once more. But instead of letting the pain consume me, I decided to find joy in the little things." Mona listened intently, her heart aching as she thought about her own struggles. Noor smiled gently and continued, "Every day, I choose to find something good in the world around me. It could be something small, like the first rays of sunlight in the morning, or the laughter of children playing outside. When I feel sadness or loneliness, I don't try to fight it. I let myself feel it, but then I remember that life is made up of both the good and the bad. Just like the weather changes, so do our emotions. And after the rain, the sun always shines again." Mona wiped a tear from her eye, moved by Noor's wisdom. "But how do I find peace when everything feels so hard?" she asked. Noor leaned closer and placed a comforting hand on Mona's. "Sadness, my dear, is a part of life. But it doesn't have to control us. When we are sad, it teaches us to appreciate the happy moments even more. Life doesn't promise us that we will never feel pain, but it does offer us moments of joy, even in the hardest times. I found my happiness in the quiet moments, the sound of the wind in the trees, the taste of warm bread in the morning, the way the stars shine at night." Mona sat in silence for a while, reflecting on Noor's words. It was hard for her to imagine being happy in her own life right now, with so many things going wrong. But the more she thought about Noor's wisdom, the more she realized that maybe happiness wasn't about having everything go perfectly. Maybe it was about choosing to see the good, even when things weren't perfect. The next day, Mona went for a walk in the village. As she walked through the streets, she started to pay attention to the small things that Noor had talked about. The laughter of children playing in the park, the bright colors of the flowers in the gardens, the birds singing in the trees. For the first time in a long while, Mona noticed the beauty around her. She realized that while life was hard, it was also filled with moments of peace, love, and joy if she chose to see them. Days passed, and Mona began to change. She started to focus on the positive things in her life, even though she still faced challenges. She didn't allow herself to be overwhelmed by the things she couldn't control. Instead, she made a conscious choice every day to find something to be grateful for, something that could make her smile. One evening, as the sun was setting and the sky was painted with beautiful shades of orange and pink, Mona returned to Noor's house. She sat down beside the old woman in the garden, and with a smile on her face she said, "Grandmother Noor, I think I finally understand. Happiness isn't about everything being perfect. It's about choosing to see the good in every situation, no matter how hard life gets. Thank you for showing me that." Noor smiled warmly, her eyes twinkling with wisdom. "You've learned the most important lesson of all, my dear. Happiness is not found in the absence of trouble, but in the way we choose to face it. Always remember, there is beauty and joy to be found in every moment." From that day on, Mona carried Noor's lesson with her. No matter what life threw her way, she found peace in the small moments of beauty around her, just as Noor had done. And as she grew older, Mona became a source of wisdom and peace for others, sharing the secret of happiness with anyone who needed it, just as Noor had shared it with her. Moral of the story: happiness isn't dependent on perfect circumstances. It's a choice we make every day, finding joy in the small, simple moments of life, even during times of struggle. True happiness comes from within and can be found by choosing to focus on the good, no matter how difficult life may seem.